Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to another one of my Cotswold Walk series. I think it's number 29. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct. You'll have seen it from the opening titles though. Today I'm in the village of Miserden, which is also an estate. So all of the cottages in the village are owned by the estate and the tenants obviously rent them from the estate. Some work on the surrounding land, but obviously some commute to neighbouring towns like Gloucester, Cheltenham and Cirencester. We're not far away from the A417, which is the main road between aforementioned Cirencester and Gloucester. It's a beautiful, beautiful spring day today. So we're not just going to be here in Miserden. I'll show you some of the village. I have covered it a little bit before, but we're going to be going into Miserden Park, where there's the remains of a castle, a couple of lakes, and then we're going to be walking on to a neighbouring village. I'll tell you some more about that neighbouring village when we get there, so look out for that. But beautiful here. So we've got the daffodils out here, so we know that Easter is on its way. Bright sunny days, a little bit windy, but I think as we head down through Miserden Park we should be out of that wind. It's only just on the tops here we do have the wind. Well, there are a few other businesses in the village here, and this one actually is the dental practice. That's a lovely garden here. And there's Miserden's Church. We're coming up to the village square shortly. Got the Carpenter's Arms just down the lane. So our walk will take us around here, the centre of the village, down here towards the entrance to Miserden Park, which is crisscrossed by many rights of way. So as I say, there's a few facilities here. You've got a village shop, post office, garden, cafe, car park and estate office. And I'll link to the village's website, www.miserden.org, in the description of the video. Excuse the noise of the plane going ahead. There's a gliding club not too far away at Aston Down. But down here is the entrance to the park, which is where we're going to be heading next. So the garden, cafe and car park and estate office is all over there on that side. But we're not heading that way today. We're just going to go down here into the park. So this is the entrance to the walk. We're actually going to be starting what is known as the Lake Walk permissive route through here. It is marked private road, so obviously you can't drive down here, but that's just for the maintenance vehicles. But we're heading down this way into what is known as the Golden Valley. So on the other side of the valley you might just be able to make out a church, and I think that's the church outside, so that's close to the main Roman road between Gloucester and Cirencester, which is now a major route connecting the M5 to the M4, but enough of roads. We're heading well away from roads down into the valley. Now, just after a few short couple of minutes or so, we're now looking back at the village there, Miserden. You can see how high it is and why it was so windy at the start of today's walk. So our footpath diverges away from the main track. There's the main track that kind of is like an access route for the maintenance vehicles to the park here, but we're going to go down this way. Just behind me here is the remains of Miserden's castle. It's got a connection to, well, something that we always seem to be bringing up here on West Country Wanderings. It was built around 1146, maybe a little bit earlier, by one Robert Musard, and it's the Musard family that the name of Miserden takes its root, if you like. So Miserden is named after Musard. This was built for the First English Civil War, something we've touched on many, many times here on West Country Wanderings, which was also known as the Anarchy, and that was to do with the fights against King Stephen. It was actually King Stephen's army that actually killed off poor Robert Musard here. It does mention online that there are some fragments of remains bits and pieces in there. So let's go over in there and see what we can find. Well, I managed to scramble up the bank that is the motte here. You can actually make out the original moat that went around side the motte here, the keep. And you can also see remains, well, there's fragments of building here. There's certainly stone which would have been used as part of the castle's building. And you also can see outlines of the building shape here. So it's really quite exciting thinking that this was here during the First English Civil War, middle of the 1100s, and now you can access it with a little bit of difficulty. I did have to scrabble up to get to it. The site of the castle is a strategic one because it's built on a little knoll of land. That over there is the Golden Valley, in which lies the River Frome, which joins the River Severn at, well, near Framalode, going through goes underneath the Gloucester and Sharpness Canal there. I digress. But the source of it is only about 2 or 3 miles to the north from here, and it kind of goes north-south in a southerly direction, then it swings its way, then heading west towards the River Severn. Beautiful spot here. The River Frome enters the lake, one of 2 lakes, and it's down to that first lake we're going to be heading next. So this is the beautiful Miserden Park lake, looking absolutely glorious on this mid-spring day here in Miserden in the Cotswolds, of course. Lovely circular walk. The castle, by the way, just a word of warning, yeah, only do that if you're really, really adventurous and you want to see the top of the castle, because it is quite tricky to get up there and to get back down again. I had to kind of scramble down on all 4, so word of warning with that. But if you're really interested in castles, then it kind of is a must, so just be careful. Obviously it's dry at the moment, so big advantage. I wouldn't certainly do it if it's wet and slippery. We're going to make our way on now to our second lake, which is called Bull Banks Lake, and just after that there is a nature reserve, so looking forward to that as well. And certainly nature though, there is lots of wildflower and nature on this lake here at Miserden Park as well. So this is Bull Banks Lake, but it does appear to be dry at the moment. Well, I guess because we've had a couple of dry months. I'm wondering if they also prioritise the main Miserden Park Lake. A couple of sluices around there because they're controlling the waterfall to make that sure that one is topped up and looking good at the sacrifice of this one. And that's looking across a Bull Banks Lake from the opposite direction. I say there's lots of reed beds in there, so it's an important habitat for wildlife still. So I'm going to be walking on this road for a short way. In fact, this is the road that I came on. I came off from the direction of Winston, which is I think called the Saltway Road, which is a dead straight road from Chapman's Cross off the A419 heading up towards the A417. So this is a turn off of that. So I've just come down that way, but you can as you're coming down. So I've just come down that way. As you're coming down, you can turn right there. There's a footpath there which takes you to Ashcombe Bottom, and you can follow the wood through to Edgeworth that way. I can see the River Froome there, and the water levels in the River Froome are very, very low. You can tell we've certainly had a very couple of dry months now, haven't we? It's looking almost summer-like rather than mid-spring-like. I like how the sunlight is just capturing the lichen that's on those trees there. And on the opposite side, as you aforementioned, Bull Banks, which is open access land there. So we're still following the Golden Valley down here. Beautiful, beautiful landscape. Well, this is a wonderful spot here in the Golden Valley where the River Froome, although there isn't a lot of water flowing through it at the moment, but it's just glorious on this mid-April day here. It's beautifully quiet. There were quite a few people around Miserden village itself when I set off on the walk, because it is quite a popular village and it has a number of attractions, as you see with the gardens there and the cafe. But once you get into the park, and certainly beyond the first lake there, here, well, there's literally no one here at all, and I don't think people walk down this far. And it's just an absolute delight, because I've been around parts of Miserden before, but never beyond it. So we're not actually in Miserden Park now. I think behind there is a place called Valley Farm. Obviously, we're in the Golden Valley here following it, and it is just absolutely joyful and beautiful. Anyway, let's continue on our walk to the village of Edgeworth. I think the river here has been slightly re-landscaped for the purposes of, well, visual purposes from the Valley Farm, which is now residential, I think, rather than agricultural purpose. The views here just seem to be getting better and better, don't they? So we're now following an estate road which comes out of that Valley Farm that I showed you back there. You follow this till it meets the main road, in inverted commas, that goes to the village of Edgeworth. Now looking across to Edgeworth Manor and Edgeworth Church, hoping there's going to be a seat there to make the halfway point. Well, now come round to the beautiful Edgeworth Church, which is Grade 1 listed. Original Saxon foundations, but the bulk of the church was built in the 11th century. The tower was added in the 14th century, and next to the church you have the beautiful Edgeworth Manor. It's a superb setting. I've had to change over my microphone cover on my lavalier because it is windier up here, so I've got the old dead kitten on it now. As I say, we'll be making a return journey on a slightly different route. Some of it will be the same, so I won't need to film all of it again, but some of it will be different, and I'll add in the different bits as we make our way back round to Miserden. I've been really enjoying the walk so far. Beautiful day, couldn't have asked for anything better. Yesterday it was about 21, 22 degrees, which is a little bit too warm, I feel, for walking, but the temperature today is about 16, 17, which is just absolutely perfect. Absolutely beautiful inside the church, so calm and still. I love how the stained glass casts that coloured glow on the masonry on the inside of the church. Now there's some beautiful stained glass here inside the church, including this. Incredibly, this is known as the Thomas à Becket window, and it dates from 1360. Colours on it are still vibrant. While tearing myself away from this beautiful spot, we will continue our journey, our walk back to the village of Miserden. So our walk actually will take us to the right of Edgeworth Court, just down there, just before we get to the main gates. Some more topiary there, and I don't think I've ever seen that before. There's a hedge there cut in the shape of a cross through a box hedge at the moment, and the footpath, the bridle path, actually takes you through the garden itself of Edgeworth Court. So we're now at the back of the court, and our path continues on down here. Still got quite a few daffodils out here, all around this tree here. I think it's a lime tree. It's got a nice curve on the trunk as well. Nice little pond there as well. And our bridle path from the back of the court here at Edgeworth continues on down into the wood. I think then we'll be catching up with the river again. Now the River Froome that we've been following along today, there's many in the West Country Wanderings region. There's one in Herefordshire, Froome Valley, great cider from there. There's also the Bristol Froome, which starts in South Gloucestershire and flows into the River Avon. We came across the River Froome the other day in Dorset as well. And of course there's the Somerset Froome, as in the town of Froome. So yeah, at least 4 or 5, possibly more, in the West Country Wanderings region. We always seem to be bumping into it. This one, however, is about 25 miles long, and it's got a couple of sources. One is around the hamlet of Nettleton, and another around Brimsfield Castle, which I did do a video about a little while ago, probably about 3 years ago. I'll link to that one because it's nearby here. So they merge there, and then it goes through Miserden Park Lake, as we saw in the video earlier, and then ending up here, Edgeworth, where there was a mill, but I'm not exactly sure where the site of the mill was. I'm guessing possibly maybe down this track. We soon descended into the valley quite quickly. There's a beautiful spot here with this lovely bridge over our river again. And it's there. And I think possibly if they were going to put a mill anywhere, you probably want to put it round here, the valley floor bottom. So I imagine this would have been an ancient carriage drive entrance into Edgeworth Court, now no longer used apart from just for farm and landscaping maintenance vehicles. And that's following the river along there, isn't it? Beautiful. That's our right of way isn't through there because we've got the electric fence, and you've got the sheep. Our footpath actually is just further around to the right, and then it'll link up to where we came into Edgeworth. So the bit we just passed through is known as Knightswood Common, and now we're on the opposite side to the River Froome, to how we approached. Remember I said earlier on there was a lake I couldn't quite see from the lane that we're above. Well, our right of way heading back to Miserden goes right next to it, and it's literally just over the side of this hedge, although, well, I'll just do a pan around so you can see it's a very long, thin lake. There it is there. So we're going to make our way around here, and I think round the back of the buildings here, to retrace our route back to Miserden. Daffodils here looking absolutely gorgeous, particularly the yellow contrasting well with the blue sky. that we have today. This bit here is known as Duntisbourne Common, and just the other, well, over the crest of the hedge, just over the crest of the hedge there, in the tree line, is the famous villages of Duntisbourne Lear, Duntisbourne Abbots, and all the other Duntisbourne. There's 4 of them, I think, which lie kind of to the south of the A417 as it heads down to Cirencester. It's a glorious section of what is known as the Stroud Froom, to distinguish it from all the other frooms that I mentioned that we come across here on West Country Wanderings. Love to know your thoughts too about the walk today. I do try to cover the whole of the Cotswolds. This one's a little bit closer to home, as you know, I live near Stroud, so this isn't far from me at all. But I like to cover all of it, Warwickshire, Worcestershire, South Gloss, Wiltshire, Baines, and here in Gloucestershire. When we were coming into Edgecombe, we were actually a little bit higher up there, following the estate road out of Valley Farm, heading into the village that way. So we're only a tiny fraction away from where we were before, but the scenery is actually strikingly quite different. So that's looking back to Valley Farm again from a higher aspect on this side of the river. Looks like it's got quite an old barn there. Maybe 16th century. That's lovely. And bubbling way down there is our river. If you're wondering what the green pipe things are for, well, they've planted some new trees here. They've done a lot of felling, forestry clearance work, which doesn't look so great on camera. But yeah, so they have planted some new trees again, which is good. Well, that was something I wasn't expecting to see. A load of deer running there in front of Valley Farm. Amazing. Now they're down there, just all grouped down the side of the valley, and there they go back in the other direction again. Look at that. They're actually on the footpath there, I think. That's their right of way. Maybe there's somebody else there spooking them, but they're probably hearing me, actually. But I can't get to them because I'm the other side of the river. Yes, it looks like I've got about 100 eyes on me at the moment. I'm being watched. What an amazing spectacle is that. I've got a clearer view of them now. Joyful. Oh, there they go again. Wow. So we're back around to Bull Banks again now. And instead of returning on the route back through the lake, through Miserden Park, this time we're going on a shorter bit. So we should actually be back to my car in about 30 minutes, which is following this road along here. It's quite a quiet road, which should take us to the little hamlet of Lippiat. Nearly come round to the little hamlet of Lippiat, which is where I parked my car. It's got a bit windy up here, hence the older chin strap. That back down there again is the lake. That's Miserden Park Lake, just in there. So we've come up the other way round because I made my descent, well, a slight descent into the village, and then obviously the deep descent into Miserden Park from the beautiful village there. Completing us, well, almost completed my circular walk. I think I've got about a quarter of a mile still to go to get back to my car, but it's not far, and I think it's flatter now because we're pretty much at the summit. Well, it's been a beautiful walk. I was amazed by lots of different things. Those deer running around near that Valley Farm there above the River Froom, that was delightful. and seeing the river itself. It's beautiful, beautiful valley, very different to how it becomes industrial as it makes its way towards the town of Stroud. The character of it changes, it becomes a lot wider of course, and then it goes more rural again before it enters the River Severn. So yeah, one of the many frooms here on West Country Wanderings. Also great seeing that stained glass there in Edgeworth Church. Edgeworth is a delight. A wonderful place, very, very rural, beautiful. First time I'd ever been to that village. It's amazing. I live in Gloucestershire, but there's still loads and loads of places that I've not yet visited in it, as indeed there is amongst the whole of the wider West Country that I cover here on YouTube as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the walk today. Oh, forgot to mention a couple of things. This walk is actually very, very difficult to do without a car, I'm afraid. But there's no public transport that I'm aware of to Miserden or to Edgeworth either, so it really isn't quite doable. We're about 9 miles south of the town of Cheltenham Spa, which of course does have public transport, but it's very difficult to get from Cheltenham to here, unfortunately. What I will do though, next time I do a Cotswold walk, I will do it that it'll be one of the car-free ones. It'll be going somewhere on a bus or a train or a combination of the both and doing a walk from there, and I'll put the details of that when we do that one. I'll also put a map from today's walk in the description of today's video if you want to do the walk today. The other thing to mention is that Miserden Park itself, unlike other parks, private estates, there are rights of way that cross it, but they don't really restrict you just to those green dotted bands across the map. You're not like, oh, I've got to stay this side, can't wander that way or that. No, you're actually free to wander pretty much as long as you stay within the country code and close gates and make sure dogs are on leads and no litter and that sort of thing. Other than that, you can kind of explore like I did with the castle, because that isn't on a direct right of way, but we managed to get up to the top of it. Well, that was great to see as well. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it today. Until next time on West Country Wanderings, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you on the channel again very, very soon. All the best for now. Cheers. Goodbye.